So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us again. We're so excited for another Exploring Insects workshop with Nessa. So if you have any comments during the day, Nessa may ask you to put comments into the chat box. There's also a Q&A box, so if there's any questions you want us to get back to and answer at the end, put those in the Q&A box and we'll be able to find them later. My name is Eleanor and I work with the Kerry Biosphere Reserve. And I'm delighted to be here again today with Dean and Nessa. So Dean's going to mention a few things that he has going on in the Dublin Bay Biosphere first before we get into the insects with Nessa.
Thanks, Eleanor. I just wanted to say, we've a couple of competitions and they're aimed at young people. So whilst we've got a captive audience, you guys, I want to share that with you. So we've a young nature bloggers competition. That's something that you can do over the summer. There's a August deadline on that, where we want young people to write interesting articles about their connection with nature, or maybe some interesting wildlife that they like. So maximum of 500 words, and they can include a picture if they want to go with it. So that's a young nature bloggers competition. That's an international competition because the Kerry Biosphere and the Isle of Man Biosphere are also involved, and there's some fantastic prizes. We've also a calendar competition, so we want your artwork. So if you want to draw artwork that encapsulates our biospheres, that'd be amazing. And so again, it can be nature, it can be culture, it can be people, it can be heritage, whatever. So we want that from you guys. That's a much shorter deadline. That's end of this month. So details on our website, dublinbaybiosphere.ie. Before I hand over to Nessa, Eleanor, we had a special, well, with everyone's special, but we had an international audience last week. Is that right?
Yes. So after last week's session, I had an email from someone who had joined us from the United States of America. So they had got up at 5 a.m. to watch the Exploring Insects with Nessa. So we were delighted to hear from them, and I hope they'll watch this one again, but maybe not live because it is first thing in the morning. So they'll be watching back on the YouTube channel, which everyone can do because we'll be recording this and then we'll upload it afterwards to the YouTube channel, so you can always watch it back. But huge thanks to everyone for logging in, especially those making a special effort getting up so early in the morning.
Brilliant stuff. So Nessa, we're going to hand over to you, and we're going to be learning more about insects today. So maybe you'll enlighten us. Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Eleanor. I just did a little tally and we have at least 18 different counties joining us this morning. I'm so impressed and delighted to have you all here. So I'm Nessa Darcy, and I'm a creative entomologist. So my mission is to reintroduce humans to their natural habitat through colorful encounters with insects. And that involves webinars like this, school visits, workshops, outings. I also do surveys to find out what insects are living in a habitat and how we can protect them. And I make art about insects. And today I'm also going to sing about insects. So we have lots of interesting experiments lined up for you today. During the last webinar, you found out how I use my eyes to do my work, to find and identify and record insects. And you learned a bit about that yourselves. And I must say, I confess, I don't spend nearly as much time listening to insects as I should. So today we're going to focus on that, using our sense of hearing to explore the insect world. And exploring insects through your different senses has the added bonus of being able to help you to achieve your Biosphere Award, which Dean and Eleanor might tell you something about later on. So I'm going to start off by showing you a few slides. Where's my share screen button? Here we go. Bear with me, because I have it open on the wrong page. So here we go, exploring insects through the sense of sound and hearing. Here's me on a insect outing in Red Rock in Howth, and we're going to see a couple of insects that you can find in Howth in County Dublin in a little while. So as well as working with insects, I'm also in an intercultural choir called Discovery Gospel Choir. So we sing songs from all around the world, and today we're going to hear about insects who sing songs and play music. We'll also be visiting another country to sing one of their songs about insects. And we'll be taking on an ambitious experiment to write a poem together, all, 230 classrooms of us. So we'll see how that goes. So as you go along, and as you learn a bit about how insects communicate and how other insects pick up the sounds and how we hear insects, you might be thinking about what insects are communicating and how you would describe it, so that you can have a chance to put that into poetry at the end of the webinar. So humans are, of course, part of nature, and Dublin Bay Biosphere is my habitat, and it's our nature to communicate through sound and music. So we make musical instruments, we write songs, we dance to music, and we pass on information to each other in over 7,100 different languages around the planet. So I have a question for you, and you can put your answers into the chat box. Why do you think that animals like humans and insects make sounds and pick up sounds? Why do we speak? And why do we make music? What is the purpose of communicating through sounds? And Dean and Eleanor, if you have any ideas yourself, you can do that too. So I'm getting lots of answers in here now, faster than I can read them. They make sounds so they can communicate. And they might make sounds if they're scared, so they might make a sound to warn off a predator, for example. To make friends, exactly, to call out to other insects or other humans and get to know each other. To defend their territory, to tell where there is food or prey. Aha, it's an interesting one. Yeah, so yeah, certain insects like the honeybee will dance, dancing more so, I suppose, than making music, but they'll dance to communicate where there's food, where there's pollen and nectar to forage. To find each other, yes. So a lot of insects will make sounds to call out for a mate, to find a mate, and we're seeing for survival, yeah. So we can understand each other, and to communicate and to warn nearby predators. And some animals, of course, will communicate to each other to let each other know that there are predators. So the other day I saw some blackbirds being attacked by a magpie, and the blackbirds were making so much noise that a whole bunch of different species of birds came to try and mob the magpie and protect the blackbirds. They make sounds to hunt. If they can't see, they make sounds to find their way. That's an excellent point. To find where food is. So lots and lots of different reasons. Someone's saying because their eyesight isn't very good. That's definitely true for some insects. The sound that they make may be more useful to them than their vision. Self-defense, survival, to be safe. This is great. So you all have an idea of what use sound is in communication. To make themselves sound bigger than they are, that's a nice one. Okay, thank you. Great answers. So here we have a picture of a human animal making an instrument out of wood. That instrument is called, I don't know if you can see me now. It's called a mandolina. Oh, it's kind of invisible. It's called a mandolina, and it's an instrument from Madagascar made out of wood. Now this is out of tune because I don't know how to tune it, but it's a cool instrument. And we're also looking here at insects that use their body parts. Where's my slideshow go? They use their body parts like musical instruments to create sounds, to communicate with each other. So these two creatures, the speckled bush cricket and the common field grasshopper, can be found in Ireland. I found these two in Howth in County Dublin. And crickets, one of the differences between crickets and grasshoppers is that crickets will rub their wings together to make a sound, and grasshoppers rub their legs against their wings to make a sound. So they have these kind of pegs on their wings and their legs that they rub against each other to create a sound, kind of like the pegs on this thumb piano or kalimba. Can you see that? This is an instrument called a kalimba or a thumb piano. So imagine that these are on the edge of the grasshopper's legs and they're rubbing it against their wing to make a sound. That's how they communicate. And oops, I'm just looking at my notes here. We pick up sound vibrations with our ears, but insects have these things called tympana. That's the plural of tympanum. And it's like a little eardrum, but it might be on their knees, or it might be on their abdomen, or it might be under their belly. So, oops. There's a lot of information to learn about how insects make sound, so bear with me while I peek at my notes every so often so I don't lose track. We've got 10 species of grasshoppers and crickets in Ireland. That's 7 grasshoppers and 3 bush crickets. And we used to have a mole cricket, which is thought to be extinct now. So keep an eye out for that, because if you find that, that'd be something really special. Whoops. So another way that insects make sound is by buzzing their wings. So when they're flying, their wings are motoring so much that they're making a buzzing sound. Now, can anyone tell me, what are the insects you're seeing in these images? Pop your answers in the chat box there. So they're not wasps. There are honeybees there. Ah, someone's got it. There's a hoverfly as well. So we've got 2 honeybees at the side, and the main picture is a picture of a hoverfly. Now that particular hoverfly is also called a drone fly because of the sound that it makes, and it mimics a honeybee. So it borrows the sound of the honeybee to make it sound like something that stings, even though it's completely harmless. And it also looks like a honeybee and flies like a honeybee. So it's really a master of doing impressions. And it will also hang out in the same places that the honeybee does. So any predators will avoid it.
Does that make it a wannabe?
A wannabe, it does.
Just a guess.
Dean, you have the best of worst jokes. That's perfect. It's a wannabe. Oh, someone's saying hoverflies are their favorite. Perfect. So if you have any other cool hoverfly facts that you want to share with us, just pop those in the chat box. Another thing about the way that some insects buzz their wings is that it makes bumblebees very effective pollinators. So they'll go inside the flower and they'll buzz really rapidly and really strongly, and that knocks all the pollen off onto their furry bodies, and then they can go to another place. And researchers in South Korea have found that bumblebees may use a loud warning buzz to tell birds to buzz off out of their nest holes so they can steal their nest holes and set up a nest there themselves, because they like the way that it already has a nest, so it's nice and cozy. So there's a lot they can communicate through sound. Now, this is a garden tiger moth. That's a species we have in Ireland. We tend to think that Irish species maybe are a bit more dull than those in tropical countries, but look at the coloration on this. It uses, as we discovered last week, it uses those colors as a warning, so a visual warning to predators. But they're no use at nighttime when nothing can see them. So when they're being chased by bats, and the bats are using their sonar to find them, these moths will send out a clicking sound, which warns the bat that they taste bad. So the bat will avoid them. And that's a common pipistrelle bat you see at the bottom there. And the caterpillar is a ruby tiger moth caterpillar, and those will do the same thing with the clicking sounds. So I found these moths in County Offaly. I don't know if we have anyone here from Offaly. I didn't see that on the list, but I hope we do. You've got some fantastic moths there. So, does anyone remember what was the name of the moth that we drew at the last webinar? You'll remember there was a crime and some honey was stolen from a hive, and we had to draw a picture, an identikit picture of the criminal who stole the honey from the hive. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's the death's head hawk moth. So lots of people have got that there, well remembered. So there were hundreds of pictures that people sent in, and they were absolutely fantastic. I had so much fun looking through them, but I'll just show you a few examples with the various different features illustrated. Stunning pictures. I'm going to keep them all and just look at them every so often to cheer myself up, because they're just brilliant. And also it showed that your listening skills are very good, because you were listening to my description of the moth and took in a lot of information and detail from that. So there it is, the death's head hawk moth. We looked at how visually stunning it is, but now we're going to find out what it sounds like. So I have a video somewhere. Here, and I'm going to share that with you. Now let me know if the video quality is okay and if you can hear the sounds. Just give me a thumbs up if everything is in order. So that's the sound of a death's head hawk moth trying to scare off a predator. I think it sounds adorable, so it wouldn't work on me. But perhaps I suppose things wouldn't normally expect a moth to make a sound, so that's it might work in some situations. So I'll show you a few other noisy insects that I've seen on my travels. These are insects that I saw in Madagascar. So that big cockroach beside my hand there is called a hissing cockroach, and it makes a loud hissing sound when it's disturbed by a predator. You've got a cicada there up on the top, and that's one of the noisiest creatures. And the cicadas that I heard in Madagascar, only some of the teachers will get this. Some of them are probably even too young to remember what this sounds like. But if you remember what a slow, broken internet connection sounds like, internet dial-up, I'm going to share a video so you know what I'm talking about. And then I better speed along because we've got a lot to fit in.
I remember the slow internet dial-up sound.
Oh, I'm too
That's
young.
my notes. Dean's too young, is he? Too young to remember. Can you hear this? So imagine thousands of these making this noise in the forest. It's constantly surrounded by noise, but it's actually quite relaxing. You wouldn't believe it, but it is quite relaxing to be surrounded by loud insect noises all the time, which is why I think there's a tradition in certain countries to keep crickets in your house. Can anyone tell me in the chat box the names of some countries where this is a tradition? Thailand. That's possible. Croatia, is that true? China, Brazil. So there's a lot of countries being named here. Personally, I'd only heard of 2 myself, and those are China and Japan. And the song that we are going to learn today is from Japan. So we're going to travel to Japan. I know that Eleanor and Dean have been practicing the words to this song, so they're going to help you learn. And Japan has 10 UNESCO biospheres. So there's lots of places where you can hear really cool insects making noises. I have notes and videos everywhere. There's so much I want to show you. So bear with me while I find the video of the song that we're going to learn.
Are you ready, Dean? Did you practice?
No. But
No.
no.
Shocked.
No, I wanted
Is everyone else
to
ready?
learn with all the other classes. So
Okay, that's fair. It's more fun learning together as a group, isn't it? So here we go. This is called Mushi. Oh, I've totally lost the name. Anyway, you'll find out.
Mushi no Ko.
あれ松虫が鳴いているチンチロチンチロチンチロリンあれスズムシも鳴き出したリンリンリンリンリンリン秋の夜長を鳴き通すああ面白い虫の声キリキリキリキリキリキリスガチャガチャガチャガチャ靴は虫後から馬追いついてちょんちょんちょんちょんスイちょん秋の夜長を鳴き通すああ面白い虫の声
Lovely. So I'll put the lyrics up on the share screen preview. Okay. Oh, 1 second, sorry. I think I may have been a bit ambitious in, in how much information I wanted to share with you today. I just get very, very excited about insects, as you can see. So here we go. This is what it looks like in Japanese. You can all read this, right?
No, not even a little bit.
Well, it's a good thing that I also have it in English. And there's a picture of a cricket being kept in a gourd in a Japanese household. Now, this song is a Japanese Ministry of Education song from 1910. So people have been using their vocal cords and their ears to pass on this song for 112 years. Here we go. This is the translation. It's about the different species of crickets and grasshoppers and katydids in Japan and the sounds that they make. The pine cricket began to chirp.
Chinchiro.
Yes, Dean can read out the yellow part.
I will try and read the yellow. Okay, so Chinchiro, Chinchiro, Chinchiro Rin.
A bell ring cricket also began to sing.
Rin in Rinny, Rin Rin Rin. Is this the sound that the insects make?
It is.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
And it's those yellow parts that you're all going to sing together in your classrooms. Okay, I'm not going to make you sing the whole song because it's complex, but those are the parts that you're going to answer back with insect sounds. They chirp throughout the long fall night. Oh, the voices of these funny insects.
Kiri, 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 Giri, Stu.
Lovely.
Gotcha, 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 gotcha.
The giant katydid sing. That's a katydid there being eaten by a spider in Madagascar, and another one beside it. And you've got the bell cricket. That's the one with the round, elaborate wings at the top, and the pine cricket is on the left. Later, the unicolor katydids chime in.
Chon, 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 su, chon.
Beautiful. They chirp throughout the long fall night. Oh, the voices of these funny insects. So we'll repeat the sounds. Okay, I'm just gonna say the sounds out loud as they're sung in the song, and Dean and Eleanor can repeat them, and everyone in your classrooms can repeat them as well after me. So it goes. I'm just gonna sing it through. Arematsu mushi ga naiteiru. Chinchiro 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 rin.
Chinchiro, chinchiro,
Chiro,
chinchiro.
rin.
Lovely. Are suzumushi mo nakidashita. Rin 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 rin.
Rin, 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 rin.
Beautiful. Aki no yonaga wo nakitosu. Omoshiroi mushi no koe. Kiri 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 su.
Kiri, 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 kiri. Kiri, kiri, su.
Gachi 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 kutsu wa mushi.
Gotcha, gotcha,
Gotcha,
gotcha,
gotcha,
gotcha,
gotcha,
gotcha.
She.
Sounds just like an insect. Love it. Ato kara umai oitsute. Chan 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 sui chan.
Chon, 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 su, chon.
Aki no yonaga wo nakitosu. Omoshiroi mushi no koe. So I want to dedicate this song to my Japanese choir friends Mika and Yuki and Saya and Ren. Mika did listen to my recording of this song, and she said my accent is adorable. I don't know if that means that it's accurate, but hopefully I'm not totally mangling this song.
Lucy said that it sounds like a Mary Poppins song, and it has that
Aw.
feel to it.
does.
So well done, Lucy. Thank you for
Lovely.
that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So, oops. So I think maybe you're ready to respond in your classrooms. So I'm going to sing the in-between lines, and you guys can sing the insect sounds. Dean looks like he, oh, Dean looks like he wants to hide his voice. Okay. Arematsu mushi ga naiteiru.
Chinchiro, chinchiro, chinchiro.
Rin. Are suzumushi mo nakidashita. Rin 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 rin. Aki no yonaga wo nakitosu. Omoshiroi mushi no koe. Kiri 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 su. Gachi 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 kutsu wa mushi. Ato kara umai oitsuite. Chan 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 sui chan. Aki no yonaga wo nakitosu. Omoshiroi mushi no koe. So I have no doubt that you did wonderfully. Maybe if you want to practice that in your own time and send us in a video, that would be wonderful. And like I said, I hope I didn't completely destroy that beautiful Japanese song. So what's next on our exciting list of experiments today? Oh, that's right. Well, before we get to that, actually, I'd like to show you a video of someone doing an even more accurate impression of a cricket. A few years ago, I ran an event where people wrote poetry and made videos about insects, and it was called Remembrance Day for Lost Species. Well, it's part of the Remembrance Day for Lost Species events worldwide. And a gentleman called Monsieur Michel did some throat singing techniques, and he did some incredible cricket impressions using his throat singing techniques. So here we go. Oh, wait, did I click share sound? I did? Okay, perfect.
It may not come to me right away because it's one of the more tricky styles.
I love them all.
Impressive, isn't it?
That's very impressive.
Now, I think we have a few questions, and I think it might be good to answer those before we get into our poetry writing so we have some inspiration. So I see that someone has asked, why are beetles so big? And honestly, I don't know the answer to this question, but I would say that there are so many different types of beetles, and some of them are absolutely minuscule. So I've looked at insects that are less than 0.5 millimeter in size under the microscope. And then you've got the big Goliath beetles as well, which are like weighty, lumpy, chunky things. So what I'm guessing is, I know that way back, like millions of years ago, the insects were able to grow bigger. And I think it had something, this is just totally in the way back in the back of my brain, but I think I have an idea that it had something to do with how much oxygen there was in the air. And now someone will need to look that up because I'm not sure if that's true.
Okay.
Eleanor Turner is going to answer this question live.
I'm just clicking that button. So the next question
Okay.
that came in is from Wendy Diggum, and she would like to know how many species of ladybirds live in the Kerry biosphere. Would you
That's
know
one
that?
you might know.
I don't actually.
Okay.
How many are there in Ireland, though? Yes,
Oh no, I don't know.
ladybirds.
I'm like,
I
hold on,
wonder.
where's my ladybirds book?
There's another question that you might know offhand is that we were talking about the hoverfly or the wannabe. How do they make noise? Was the question that came
yes.
in from Brenda Reynolds way back.
Well, before I answer that, I'll just show you. This is the guide. Oh, it's invisible.
I
This
have
is
a
a
little
guide.
one here.
Oh yes, you got a nice one there.
It
Is that
says
from the
there's
National
20
Biodiversity?
species of ladybirds in Ireland. So
Fantastic.
20 in Ireland in total.
Wow,
That's
pretty good.
loads.
That's amazing.
And this chart I have is of the ladybirds of Britain and Ireland. So you can see the amazing diversity. Whoops, if you can see it at all.
Lots of different types. I mean,
A lot of different types, a lot of different numbers of spots and different colors.
Eleanor, you're holding a swatch there. Where can you get
Yes.
that?
This is from the National Biodiversity Data Centre. So if you search biodiversityireland.ie, I think, you can go to their store and you can get these. They're super handy because they have them all on little cards, and it tells you a little bit about the insect and how to identify them. You can see there's lots of different ladybirds here. So it helps you if you find one, you can start to flick through and try and figure out which one it is. And they have one of those for, look, Dean's got one for birds. I've got another one here for butterflies. So there's a lot of different ones you can get. So it's definitely worth, if your class are really interested, you could get in touch with the Biodiversity Data Centre and see if you could get hold of some of those.
This is a nice one for bees because it's color coded by the color of their bums. So that's really handy.
Interesting. Okay. There's some more questions coming in, which if you want to take them now, we will. So how do you recognize a hoverfly or a wannabe over a honeybee?
Question. And that's great. And I'll answer that with the one about how they make the sound. So I'm fairly sure that the sound is the sound of their wings motoring. So they flap their wings so fast, it just makes a buzzing sound. And the way you tell the difference is that honeybees have 4 wings, hoverflies have only 2. Now sometimes it's hard to see the honeybee, the 4 wings on the honeybee, because they're kind of hooked together as if they were single wings. But they also have all of that Hymenoptera group, the bees, wasps, ants. They all have a narrow waist, so they have their waist kind of goes in the middle, whereas flies like hoverflies are kind of have a wider waist. They don't have that thin part. Also, hoverflies have short antennae and bees always have long antennae.
There's a few coming in about the ladybirds. Does the number of spots or dots on the ladybird mean anything?
It just means that they're different species. So different types of ladybirds have different numbers, and some often different colors as well. I see it says, how do you tell the difference between arachnids and insects as well? And that's through the number of legs mainly. So arachnids all have 8 legs and insects have how many legs? Can anyone remember? Dean remembers 6. Also arachnids will have they'll have their head and their thorax are kind of just one part, and the abdomen, so they look like they just have 2 body parts, whereas insects have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, so 3 distinct body parts.
Miss Dignam asks, what are the main difference between crickets and grasshoppers? That's a really amazing question.
Now, personally, I only know, that's the first kind of big difference that I've learned, is that the grasshoppers will rub their wings together to make the sound, or sorry, the crickets will rub their wings together to make the sound. Grasshoppers will rub their legs against their wings to make the sound. They are in the same order, the same group, but I would need to look into it in more detail to find out what the exact differences are.
So Jason has asked, how long have you been a creative entomologist?
Oh, in some ways for my whole life, because I've always been looking at insects and making art about nature, but officially 6 or 7 years now. I've been in business 6 years, but I've been studying them forever.
Yeah, and Nessa, you can visit schools if schools want you to come and visit them through the Heritage in Schools program, is that right?
Absolutely, yeah, the Heritage in Schools visits. Yeah, so we actually, the Heritage in Schools scheme is actually giving free visits during Biodiversity Week. So I think that's over the next week. So have a look into that.
Yeah, lots going on for National Biodiversity Week next week in all parts of Ireland, I know.
Yeah.
And you can check that out. So do you want to get back to the poetry? Because I mean, if we don't, we want to get that in, because I'm really looking forward to seeing what the young people can come up with.
Cool, and we may have time for more questions at the end then. Okay, so we've, oops, one second. So we've heard a beautiful song from Japan, which is describe the sounds of the insects and the different types of insects. Also a little bit about how the author feels about them, finds them funny. So I want you all to think about your experience of listening to insects or watching insects, and I'll give you the instructions now in a second. So I originally called this the cross-country poetry writing experiment, but then I found out we have a listener from the US and perhaps we have listeners from other countries as well. So I called it the cross-planet poetry writing experiment. So here are your instructions. Use your ears to listen carefully. So first of all, I'm going to get you to close your eyes and I'll guide you in reflecting on what we have learned today. So let's do that for a couple of minutes. Yeah, listen to these questions and thoughts and imagine think about what comes to mind as you're hearing them. So close your eyes. And remember a time when you heard an insect making a noise. Was it one insect or many making sounds together? It might have been last summer outdoors, or it might have been today during this webinar. Where were you? Were you indoors looking at a screen? Were you outdoors surrounded by plants? What was the weather like? Where do you think your insect likes to live? Could you see the insect, or could you only hear its sound? Do you know what kind of insect it was? What was its name? Now, it may be that some of you have never noticed hearing an insect before, but you could imagine one, you could make one up in your head. That's totally fine as well. Did I already ask? Can you remember the sound that it made? If you had to put that sound down in writing or in a description, what would it look like or sound like? What does the sound remind you of? What do you think your insect friend was saying, trying to say to you or to another insect? Who was it talking to? How did the sound make you feel? Would you like someone else to be able to hear the insect too? Would you be able to do an impression of the insect, what it sounds like? And how would you tell them to look for the insect and have a chance to be able to hear the insect themselves? Where would you tell them to go? What would you tell them to do when they got there? So you don't need to provide the answers to all of these questions, but if there's anything from that reflection that stands out in your head, focus on that for now. So you can open your eyes and just keep in mind that thought that you had from the reflection. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes to write one sentence, one poetic sentence, or 2, if you like, about something that you liked about what you just imagined or remembered, or something that you didn't like. We can also write a poem about something scary or disgusting. So you've got 3 minutes. You can, if you have some paper and a pen handy, you can write that down. And while you're working away on that, I'm going to ask Dean and Eleanor to tell me what came to mind when they were doing the reflection.
Well, I'll go first, Dean, if that's okay. I was thinking about a moth that came into my house. So it was inside my house and it was nighttime. So I have this little lamp in my bedroom that has like a cover around it. And the little moth was like flying against the cover of the lamp. So it kept like if you imagine if you were in a tent and like tapping the outside of the tent, it was like like that. And so I couldn't get to sleep because this poor little moth was there. So then I woke up and I had to try and get the moth outside, but I didn't know what kind of moth it was. It was just like small and brown. And I got a little glass and I tried to catch it in the little glass and take it back outside because the little noise was so disrupting. I couldn't like relax to get to sleep. It was like like that right beside my head. So that was what I was thinking about while you were talking.
Oh, lovely. That reminds me of living in my tent in Madagascar, and you'd hear all kinds of strange sounds on the outside of the tent, like frogs hopping on it and mosquitoes buzzing, trying to find their way in. How about you, Dean?
Okay, I've written something. I'm hoping this is okay. So, I'm a little insect lying in the grass. You can't find me, you can't find me. Chirpy, chirpy, cheep, cheep, chirpy, chirpy, cheep, cheep. I'm hiding in the grass. So it's a grasshopper and he's making that. And he's chirpy, chirpy, cheep, cheep.
And I felt that that feeling of curiosity and slight frustration when you can hear a grasshopper and you really want to see it and you're hunting around in the grass, but they're so well camouflaged, they're hard to spot until they
They
jump.
make the noise over here and you walk over there and that one stops and then there's another one over there. And they're,
Yes,
and they're tricking you. They're very clever.
they are. I wonder if that's when they're kind of calling and responding. Maybe they're having a little argument about whose territory it is.
Yeah. Maybe they're just laughing at Dean, going like, "Hey, call him over here now. He can't
Yes.
find us. Call him back over this way."
Probably. Amazing.
So hopefully the young people will be writing their own bits of poetry. And in fact, there's no reason why they couldn't enter that in our blog competition or as part of our blog competition. You know, that'd
Oh,
be
absolutely.
amazing to get.
Beautiful.
Um,
There's a few coming in the chat already.
yeah, is there?
Oh,
Oh,
great.
Yeah,
goodness, let's
keep
have a look.
typing them in.
Yeah, so as soon as you're ready, as soon as you've picked a couple of your most descriptive lines or the ones that stand out to you the most, you can pop them in the chat. And as we're going along, I'll start to read some of them out. And what I'll do for next week, we have another webinar next week, on the 17th, I guess. I will put together a poem based on your lines, and it probably won't contain all the lines because that's going to be about
That
6
could be a
million
lot.
lines, but something that captures the essence of,
Yeah.
what
We
you're
had a
all-
comment there. We need more time, and I mean that's the thing. Take as long as you want. You can spend the rest of the day if you want making your poetry, and then please send that back to probably Eleanor or even
You can email it to me.
Biosphere. You can email it to us, and yeah,
Or
we'd
if
love
you
to
have
then share some of that.
the WhatsApp number from last week, my phone number, you can WhatsApp it to me if that's easier, or you could email it to me and I can send them on to Nessa.
That's perfect. Yeah,
There's,
maybe you want to
there's
put
lots
those
coming in the
details.
chat though. You're
to the
gonna have
chat.
a long poem with all these in the chat, Nessa.
Yeah, and I've got 2 other webinars or 2 other workshops to prepare for this week, so that's going to be fun. And some writing of my own to do. I have a deadline,
Beautiful.
so it's going to be a fun week.
So we got
Maybe I'll get some inspiration from your writing.
we've got I'm a bumblebee. Can you see me? I can see the bee near the apple tree.
Oh,
There
lovely.
is some really clever poetry coming
Yeah,
through.
in the warm
Yeah.
summer sky, the hungry humblebee buzzes
Buzzes
by.
by.
The moth on the wall has a beautiful call.
Lovely
There are
rhyming.
some poets in the classrooms out
There really
there.
are. Oh my goodness me, they're coming in thick and
Roses
fast.
are red, violets are blue. I like listening to insects, and so should you.
There's some great nice emotions coming in as well.
Mhm.
Last summer, I both heard and saw a wasp buzzing around potatoes. I felt a little frightened and stepped away from it. That's a good
Yeah.
approach when
That's
you're
a
dealing
nice
with a
one,
wasp.
yeah.
Don't swat them, just step away.
Step away.
I was relaxing by lavender plants and saw and heard a furry bee sucking on a lavender plant.
There's lots of bees buzzing, signaling the sound of summer. They definitely make me think of summer when I hear bees. A reminder of sunny days and delicious ice cream.
Ladybirds have some spots. Butterflies look like moths. Honeybees buzzing around. Beetles are hiding underground. Oh my goodness, come on. They're just too brilliant.
These are
Slugs are sloppy, worms are wriggly, bees are buzzy, and flies are fluttery. Great.
Oh,
You're going to find out just how
fantastic.
sloppy slugs and snails are when we have our webinar on exploring insects through the sense of touch.
Oh, I'm
And-
glad you said touch and not taste.
Yeah, there is a taste one.
There is a taste.
Yeah.
What is next
Like
week,
a-
Nessa? Just out of curiosity.
I actually can't remember.
I can find out.
Next week. Hold on, I might be able to find it. Da, da, da.
Some people are off for their lunch. Thank you for joining us and
Yes,
have a very
thanks for
lovely
joining
lunch.
us. Enjoy your lunch break.
Oh, this one's great. Let's play hide and seek. Crick, crick, crick. Don't run away, human. Ah, I'm so scared, I said. No, no, don't run away. Bye, bye, bye. Crick, crick, crick. And I hear the cricket cry.
Brilliant. Session
That's
3
like a description
next
of
week.
Dean's experience.
So next week, session 3 is exploring insects through taste.
Oh,
Are
excellent.
jelly worms allowed? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, bring jelly worms.
They are.
There is the teacher resources document, so all the
Okay,
teachers out there have a quick look at that, because I think there's some hints about things that you can have ready for next week's webinar. So if you registered already, you should have got an email with a link to that document in it. If not, you can go onto the kerrybiosphere.ie website, find the resources section, and it's right there. So you can download it there and have a look at what you need to get ready for next week.
Yes, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
As always, we're just going to hang out here because there are still some people sending in a whole heap of their poetry. So we're going to keep the webinar session over, but I think we are officially finished. So if people are waiting to run away on their lunch break, you can totally do that now once you've sent in your line for your poem.
Absolutely.
And it would be really nice to get them via email as well, so that we can collate them together and maybe share them on social media and our website. I'd love to put some on our website, and I'd love to get some of you young people entering our competitions, because yeah, that'd be amazing to have look at your fantastic ideas.
I saw a wasp. It looked very lost. That's beautiful.
These are brilliant.
There's so many, I can't read them all, but I'm really excited about putting something together out of this.
Yeah.
If anyone has a few more questions, we should probably answer those before we have to head off.
There's one in the Q&A that's waiting for you there. It says, what advantages do flying insects have over those that stay on the ground?
Ooh. So I guess different insects and the way that they move around the places that they live will live in different niches, so they can take advantage of different foods and different hiding places and escape from different predators in different ways. And flying insects, of course, will be able to get to the tops of trees. They'll also be able to migrate. So they may their larvae might eat plants in one place, and then they may migrate somewhere else to mate or to have another brood. That means they can colonize new places as well. So when the land was reclaimed from the sea in the Netherlands, the beetles that could fly were able to get further, and some beetles don't have wings and some do. They did an experiment and they found that the further out onto that reclaimed land you got, the more beetles had wings, or the greater number of the beetles had wings. So yeah.
But like you say, it's great for being able to escape anything that's trying to eat you on the ground, but then you run into all other dangers of things trying to eat you in the air. Okay, there's some more poetry.
Birds in the sky.
Oh honeybee, come to me. Oh honeybee, from Kilkenny. That was from Ronan.
I live in a hive. I sting people day and night, but only when they're not nice.
Yes, true. Insects flirting, insects chirping, buzz, buzz, buzz. It's a wasp and it's lost a wing. Bing, bing, bing.
I heard a little cricket just 2 days ago, hiding in the tall long grass, and he wouldn't leave me alone. With that little crick, 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 every little second, I just went in and left him alone.
Oh, it's interesting to hear the way that we say the sounds in Ireland compared to the way they're sung in Japan, that we hear them differently and write them differently, like the crick, crick, crick compared to the chun, chun, chun.
Chun, 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 chick, chick, chick.
Is there anyone else out there from other countries who want to tell us what a grasshopper sounds like in your country?
I'm wondering if there's different names for insects in different parts of Ireland, because lots of insects can have their own local names. This one is what we all recognize them as.
Yeah, there's a map somewhere online of the different names of woodlice in different places, and there's just so many. I think I've mentioned this every time I have a webinar because I'm so amazed by it.
Roly-poly bug.
Roly-polies, pillbugs, monkey peas. sow bugs, all kinds of things.
There's a lot of different
Okay,
things.
so listen, I think we're there. There's no more questions. There's lots of more poetry coming in, but like I say, if they can send that on to us, that'd be really great. Nessa, thank you so much again for a really interesting workshop.
My pleasure. Had a great
Really
time.
good fun. Great to join in with the singing part of it anyway.
Yeah, well done. Fair play to you both.
You're the best. You're the best singer, Dean.
Definitely puts the character.
Yeah. And really looking forward to next week because you know, this time I get a little bit hungry and all the children get a little bit hungry, so maybe they'll be able to stay for a bit longer and eat some insects.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah, you won't be hungry next week. Do make sure you look at the resource because we'll definitely need a few things for next week.
Okay, brilliant.
Thanks,
Thanks
everyone.
everybody. Thanks Nessa.
Thanks,
Thanks
everybody.
Eleanor. Thanks
Bye.
everyone.
Take care.
Slán.